Welcome everyone from my side. Yeah, we already got the scope somehow. So the use of AI technology in art, culture, and the creative industries, and specifically framed because my background is in music to the music industry and to music production. Yeah, I want to add up a bit more into the introduction because then you're more aware what's my background and who am I speaking to you. So my current position at Cyanite is director of IT. I'm leading the software development there. We are an AI music search and tagging company. But my background, as Tanya already mentioned, is from my passion from music production and audio engineering. So since my early ages, I was creating beats on the computer in the basement. Then I started to study in Stuttgart audiovisual media with actually the intent to be a record producer. Um, that didn't turn out. So I got more and more into tech and had my passion to develop my passion to then create products that eventually are used by record producers. And before I made that happen, I had some kind of detour. So I went into IT consulting because entering the music industry is actually a pretty hard game. So I took that detour, started with IT consulting and an IT consulting firm where I learned pretty much then the basics of programming. I mean, I learned that during my studies, of course, also a bit, but then applied in the real world somehow. Um, but somehow that passion for music was always present, and that's why decided to start my own company together with my co-founders Basti and Tim, and we developed and co-founded Aptone, which is an AI-based sample management platform. So you can imagine it like a Dropbox or a Google Drive, but powered by AI for all of your sounds to make them available in a better workflow, because I find it always painful to search for sound, and that's where AI also, I think during that time AI popped up pretty much everywhere, and somehow it came to my attention that okay, how can we make use of that, and luckily with the team we had all the resources to craft this product, but also that journey was very insightful, um, but also taught me like, yeah, creating a startup in the music industry is also hard, especially if you go B2C. But we had very much technical similarities with Cyanite, the company where I'm currently working, and that's my road turned or developed into the position I'm currently working. I'm still producing some stuff, but just for fun. Also, the audio engineering part is, yeah, it was more semi-professional in my earlier days. But I'm still keen, and if there's the opportunity to do some live stuff, I'm always up to it, and it's super fascinating to see how all the technology evolves there. So I think now you have some kind of a background. Who am I, and from which perspective I'm talking to you. I want to yeah have this lecture. Also worth mentioning, maybe it's the first time I'm giving this kind of lecture, so I'm always a bit of nervous. But I outlined the following agenda for this. So we just finished the introduction. Then I want to talk about a bit about the fundamentals of how AI and music technology, or AI music technology works, how we leverage it at Cyanide, and then, as mentioned, what tools are out there. So for the creative process and also maybe for the business side of it, and then have an outlook like what are the current trends, as also already outlined by Tanya. I had some questions also sprinkled in the middle of the presentation, but we just will keep them or postpone the questions to the end. All right, let's dive deep into the technology. Maybe you've seen this already. So this is a waveform in the upper part of music or of audio. So where you visualize or can see music or audio in a time and energy domain. But what you can also transform it to some kind of picture, which is the representation down below. It's like called a spectrogram. And what the spectrogram does is it depicts on the time axis, on the x-axis, like the time progression basically, and on the y-axis, it depicts like the frequencies. And this image you can see here is like the distribution of how or which frequencies are present at which time. So that's just a different representation of how you can see audio. And this is pretty much used everywhere when it's about music and AI, because this representation is really handy. And it is also, or you can also leverage other tools or other domains like image recognition, tooling from there to get your use case covered, so to say. So when you have those spectrograms and you have a look at like how would it look like in different genres, we have here 15-second fragments of different genres. You see like different pictures, different patterns. So you have jazz, for example, on the upper left part, looks completely different than metal, right? So it somehow has a complete different pattern. And what's basically done is you are matching these patterns against each other, because jazz songs will pretty much look similar to each other, other than metal songs. And this can be used to train an AI model, for example, to do tagging or to predict the genre. Like, is this song actually a jazz song? And what you do then is, or usual AI pipeline looks like, you have this raw audio data, you convert in those spectrograms, and then there's some magic happening in the middle. So you have that's a deep neural network. So you have some layers, some computation you can think of in the middle, and you have on the right side, like, for example, the use case is you want to predict the genre out of it. Like if it's metal, jazz, just what we've seen before. And what happens is, in the middle part, you adjust all the parameters, let's say, from a gigantic function to have your output as desired. So that if you give this network another song which it doesn't know, that it predicts the genre correctly. And that's actually, like, broadly speaking, how AI and music work, or how the technology behind it work. And you can make use of it in several ways. For example, the tagging, but you could also use intermediate layers somewhere here in between, and also apply some computations around it to do something like, okay, how similar are sounds together, or how similar are songs together. And that's also what we do at Cyanite. So we do in both worlds we are active. But in general, if you hear something about music and AI, and if you ever wondered how this is actually functioning, basically this is like the foundation of how it's working. So just that you have a rough idea what we are talking about. So as I said, we are at Cyanite leveraging AI, and we do this for tagging, as I said. So we have, I think, 1,500 tags in different categories. So our taxonomy spans like main genres, subgenres. We also have instruments. We have the character. We have something called movement. We also have the mood. Like, is it bright? Is it uplifting? Um, this kind of indicators that we can extract out of a song, and we are all doing that using this. So this is like the foundation for that. Where is this actually used? So this is kind of interesting, for example, for companies who are having music catalogs. So companies who own music and that acquire new catalogs, a new bunch of songs, for example. And the challenge here is that if you acquire another catalog, you have either no metadata or you just have metadata which, yeah, does not fit or is not streamlined. So what we can do with that is on a highly automated basis, streamline all the metadata of all the songs and yeah, find a coherent set of words which describes the music. There's something popping up in the chat. Ah, yeah. Thank you, Tanya. Um, yes, so this is the tagging part. Of course, we also extract like the basic parameters, like which key is the song in or what's the tempo. We also can predict like from which musical era it comes from. But this is like the tagging domain. But I will also show you later how you can leverage this as an artist to, yeah, for example, put stuff on Spotify. Then we have auto descriptions. This is like, or AI descriptions, as we call it. It's like a tool or a feature which lets you describe music. And the use case is pretty similar for what I've just told you earlier. So if you just want to have an overview of your catalog and what are your songs about, this just describes it in natural words. So it's laid back, mellow soul pop with smooth male vocals and so on and so forth, which is pretty handy. Then on the other hand, we have the similarity search. So what is similarity search about? It, as you might can imagine, is you have a song and you want a similar song or similar songs to that song. Pretty much what's happening with a Spotify song radio. So you just have this song and it says like, okay, give me songs that are matching to that vibe. And that's pretty much what we can also do and what we are also doing, but we are not doing it for Spotify. I can reveal that. But we're doing that for our B2B customers like publishers, labels, and this is in particular useful for sync. So when a company wants to position their songs in an advertisement, for example, and they get a briefing like, yeah, we want this song which sounds like Billie Eilish, but the company or for example, the advertisement can afford to buy a license for Billie Eilish, but you have that catalog with similar songs to Billie Eilish, which are much cheaper to license, then you can just find similar songs which can be used for their use case. And the similarity search works on a pretty fine-grained level. You can select different segments of a song. You can even, with our newest features, like combine different songs and match that to get similar songs to the whole playlist. And what we can also do is, in the era of ChatGPT and prompts, do it based on free text. So you can just describe what you are looking for, and then we will deliver the results. So imagine you have like a scene for a movie, and you have this scene in mind. Okay, here as the example, the football team is getting ready for the game, and then it immediately suggests you songs which fit that. So these are the products which we are offering at Cyanite, but I'm not here to talk and to demo and to do a pitch about what just we are doing. I just want to also tell you about this huge world of tools which are out there, and there's a pretty crazy ecosystem evolving. So I think I stumbled over this map 2 years ago, and I didn't find an up-to-date version of it. I think some of the companies here don't exist anymore, but I know that probably there is another 1,000 in the last 2 or 3 years which are popping up in this area. And I find that map kind of helpful to cluster the things. I don't necessarily see ourselves in the sample search. It's more sound search. We have song search more. Anyways, I find the categorization kind of useful. But I came up with my own somehow, and with my own 4 main categories. Where I just want to show you what I find interesting, what might be interesting to look into for you. So that's a question we save up for later then. Creative tools. I have highlighted 3 here. Of course, as I mentioned, there are many more. One of it is SampLab. It's developed by 2 guys from Switzerland. It's a tool where you can drop in a sample loop, for example, with instruments inside, with a vocal inside, maybe with drums inside, and it lets you deconstruct all the parts of it. So this is like source separation. Maybe you heard of that. So you can, that's the most simple part. You can just extract, I want the drums from this, or I want the vocals from this, or I want the piano from this. But what you can also do is you can change the notes. So it's like really a playground to alter the sound. If you want to come up with a remix for something, this is really helpful and saves a lot of time. And that's a great example of an innovative tool which just enables you doing something in your creative workflow. Then another tool which came to my attention is Synplan 2. It's digital or virtual instrument which you can use in your production studio and your digital audio workstation. And what it does is you can drop in any sound, and it makes you play this sound like you can play it with the synthesizer. I'm not sure how familiar you are with synthesizers, but when you open up a new plugin, a synthesizer plugin, like a raw plugin, you have, at least for the most synthesizers, you have like 30 or more knobs which you can tweak, and you have to find the perfect adjustment to make the sound which you have in mind. But with that tool, you just have maybe the sound from somewhere. Maybe you source separated it with SampLab before. And you can drop that sound into that plugin, and then you can play the sound with your keyboard, and it's newly synthesized. So it's also like really high quality, because actually what is happening is it's generating the preset out of it, or it's generating the parameters out of it. So actually the sound is not generated here. So that's a pretty neat tool. And what I found also interesting, me personally, as I don't have a singer voice, is something like Ace Studio, which lets you put MIDI notes and draw MIDI notes. So you just draw a melody in your tool, and you can then put the lyrics there, and then it will sing it automatically for you, and you can select the singer. I think this doesn't replace the singer from a production, but it just can get you jump started. If you're like me, you cannot sing yourself, but you have this idea in mind. You just want to check out how it's going to be. So this is what I see in the creative tools section. Then, of course, we have mixing and mastering. So that's the process of fine tuning or tuning the sound that it's actually hearable. And there are tools which are already quite long in the market, like Sonable. It's an equalizer, so it lets you boost the bass frequencies, the mid frequencies, or the high frequencies, and it has this tool that it automatically detects like what's maybe odd in your sound currently. So maybe there's too much of the mids in the vocal, or it's missing the highs, and it can somehow adjust it, yeah, just to make it sound like as you like it to be. And this works for equalizers, so just like the tonal curve, but it also works for different disciplines in mixing and mastering. For example, also when it's about the dynamics of the vocal, so the loud and the quieter passages to even that out. There are also tools out there which just saves a lot of time if you are just a semi-professional music producer and just want to get things in an auditional format or auditional state. And a combination of these are tools like Master Channel or Lander. So they are used to master. Master Channel also recently, for example, they worked with a mastering engineer, and they trained their AI that the master is sounding like that mastering engineer mastered the song. And they also received a shitstorm about that because it's like lowering or diminishing the value of a mastering engineer, and saying like, okay, this is like a job which can be easily replaced. But I think this is mainly used by, and it will always be mainly used by people who just can afford it, or who just want to try out how would it sound. But we will come to the ethics also later. Then in the sphere of samples, where also my original startup evolved, there is Splice. It's like a sample marketplace, and it has pretty much that feature that we also have with Cyanite. Find similar sounds or find matching sounds to that sound. So you have a perfect snare drum, but you want to find, maybe you used it for 3 other tracks and you just want to come up with something different, and then it lets you also search for other sounds. Of course, there's also a debate about, okay, everything, or the music nowadays, you hear in the radio when it's a splice sample. So it's there's a debate about it if it's cool or not, but it just can save you time, especially if you are in the early production phase. Then there's Waves Cosmos and XLN Audio. It's also a similarity search for sounds. And the cool thing about the both of the tools is, I think Waves copied it from XLN. It draws this map, which you can see here in the middle, of all your sounds, and you see like sounds which are similar to that sound positioned next to it on that map. And that's like a whole different experience navigating your sounds than, yeah, just digging through folder structures on your hard drive. And when it comes to samples, there's also Output, a company which also exists for quite a while, but they recently came up with their co-producer plugin, and this is a prompt-based search, or as we call it, free text search. So there you are able to search their library, with the help of text prompts, where you can just describe what you're searching for. Then, to come back also a bit what we are doing when it comes to value generation, and I mean value generation in terms of money and making a business out of it. We didn't have the idea when we first released that feature of the free text search and AI descriptions, how this is going to be used. And it's also being used by producers and record artists. And there was a YouTube video or a blog article, I can't remember, where some guy is explaining how he's leveraging that to generate a song description or a song bio, to pitch it to playlist curators, for example, or to labels. So what they basically did is, okay, they got tagging data from the song and the auto description from the song, or the AI description from the song, prompted ChatGPT, hey, I need that 3-character description for this track, and put in the data that came from Cyanite. And then it returned a perfect, ready-to-use description for commercializing the song. So Cyanite in combination with ChatGPT or other tools, if you want to go for a Europe-based Mistral, for example, LLM, is you can get really creative with that and make it your assistant. And then there are also tools or platforms like Surreal. In the era of Gen AI, this is a company which lets you actually track if your songs are being used by Gen AI companies, or it's making sure that it's not used without you being compensated for it. So if you feel like you have songs which are not ready to or not ready, but say you don't want to release the songs, maybe you can have another value stream out of it and say, okay, maybe this music can be interesting to license it for Gen AI training. I mean, that comes also, of course, with certain assumptions or certain, say, thinking about how do you want to act with your creativity, but this is up to you. And it's just a possibility if you're up to that and want to go that path for monetizing your music in additional ways. There are ways to make that happen also. Yeah, speaking about Gen AI, this is of course also something that is happening. So companies like Suno or Udio, which let you create complete songs. I tried it once in a while. I mean, it's pretty astonishing, the quality of it, but where's the fun? So for me, the fun is making the music and being creative myself, and this does too much of the job. I think so. Maybe there will be a use case for that, especially for production music or just background music, for something where this might or is already also useful. But as a creative, you might use it to come up with a loop or with a sample for something. But it also raises the concern of how can we ethically use AI, because there's a lawsuit going on also from GEMA and also by the recording industries of the United States, or in the United States, where it's pretty clear that they trained their AI on material which is copyright protected where they don't have the clearance to do so. So they claim that it's fair use, But this is like an ongoing thing, and it's I think also about us, like what tools are we going to use? And this is also a field which is rising, I'd say. So there are companies which are exactly focusing on certifying or making sure that AI models are trained with data where the companies had the allowance to do so, so without any copyright infringement. So, for example, AIOK or Fairly Trained are two examples. Um, and this is like a trend where you can see like this awareness is raising, and it's about the companies to adopt it. We are also right now in the certification phase, and it's also like a burden somehow, all the processes, but it's also a decision, and a decision from a company, but also from the consumer and from the artist side, like which tools are you wanting to use? Um, yeah, to that end. So what's next? I think there's no doubt that AI is shaping all the areas of music creation and or of the music industry, from creation also to the value streams. There are more and more tools available. It's crazy to see how many tools are evolving. And if you are on Instagram and you are in the producer bubble, you are bombed with thousands of tools every day. But it's making it easier to create in music, but that also means that more and more music is being released, which of course puts some pressure. But I still believe that the content is the key, and it's still about the artistic process and about the experience, somehow the authenticity you have as an artist to be successful. And yeah, as last point, as I mentioned, also for my last conference in Atlanta and in Music Biz in the US, it was very much a topic, like how can we make sure that the AI is being used and trained ethical. So this is a topic which yeah is rising.